Have you ever looked back at your life and thought, I've come too far to be dealing with this nonsense? Maybe you've spent decades building a life, raising kids, loving deeply, and giving generously. Now, in this new chapter, you crave peace, respect, and honesty. Above all, you deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift you, not pull you down. But here's a hard truth. Just because we grow older doesn't mean everyone around us grows wiser. In fact, as we age, some people in our lives start showing their true colors. And if we're not paying attention, we might keep giving our time, trust, and energy to people who simply don't deserve it. That, my friend, can quietly rob us of the peace we've worked so hard to earn. So today, I want to talk about something a little uncomfortable, but necessary. We're going to shine a light on 9 types of people you should never trust or respect in your later years. Not out of bitterness or harshness, but because your well-being matters. Protecting your emotional energy isn't selfish, it's wise. Let's start with a type of person you've probably met more than once in your life. The two-faced charmer. You know the type. They greet you with warmth, maybe even call you dear. They flatter you with a compliment, ask about your grandkids, and say all the right things when you're standing in front of them. But the moment you're out of sight, they're whispering things that make your stomach turn: gossip, mockery, and subtle betrayal. Years ago, you might have brushed it off, thinking, that's just how they are, or, it's not worth the drama. But here's the thing. If someone talks about you behind your back, they are not harmless. They are dangerous. Because at our age, trust is no longer a luxury, it's a boundary. And two-faced people break it with a smile. The clearest sign? Pay attention to how they speak about others when those people aren't around. That's the clearest window into how they speak about you. If their words are soaked in sarcasm or judgment when others aren't in the room, rest assured, you're not exempt. And if you feel a little sting of doubt every time you interact with them, don't ignore that gut feeling. That's your inner wisdom whispering, this person doesn't have your best interests at heart. You don't owe them anything. Blank. Blank. Now, let's shift to a very different kind of person, but one just as harmful. The social butterfly with a hollow core. On the surface, they seem delightful, always smiling, always involved, always ready to join a potluck or show up at every gathering. But when life gets real, when you need someone to talk to at 2 a.m., when you're facing a health scare, or even when you just feel lonely, they're nowhere to be found. You see, these are the people who love the spotlight of friendship, but disappear the moment the lights dim. They like being seen as supportive, but don't want to actually be supportive. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying social events, the danger comes when we mistake that surface-level connection for something deeper. Real friendship isn't measured by shared laughs, it's measured by shared burdens. If you've found yourself emotionally investing in someone like this, always hoping they'll finally show up when it counts, take a step back. Ask yourself, do I always have to be the one reaching out? Does this person ever check in just to see how I'm really doing? If the answer is no, it's time to stop pouring into an empty cup. Because at this stage in life, you deserve connections that are mutual, not one-sided. You deserve people who will be there for you on your good days and your hard ones. Blank. Next is the chronic critic. Not the helpful kind who gives gentle advice when asked. I'm talking about the person who always has something negative to say about your choices, hobbies, outfits, or stories. They say they're just being honest, but their honesty always seems to chip away at your confidence. Maybe it's the friend who constantly comments on how you're still driving at your age, or questions how you spend your retirement money. Or maybe it's a family member who subtly implies that you're out of touch, that your opinions are outdated, or that you're too old to try new things. Let me tell you something important here. Your age doesn't make you less worthy of respect, it makes you more worthy. You have lived, you have endured, you have adapted to a world that changed 100 times around you. You're not fragile, you're seasoned. You're wise, you have every right to explore new things. Express your opinions. And be proud of who you are. And if someone constantly makes you feel small, that's not their honesty helping you, it's their insecurity hurting you. They aren't trying to lift you up, they're trying to pull you down to their level of dissatisfaction. The best way to handle them? Start by separating truth from poison. If their words sting, ask yourself, is this actually helpful, or just hurtful? If it's the latter, walk away emotionally. Blank. Underscore, blank. One of the most powerful lessons we can embrace in our 60s, 70s, and beyond is this. Just because someone has been in your life for a long time doesn't mean they've earned a permanent seat in it. Respect isn't something you give out of habit, it's something people earn through kindness, consistency, and care. This brings me to a type of person you've probably run into if you've ever opened up to the wrong person, the chronic victim. I don't mean someone who has gone through hardship. We've all had our fair share of that. I'm talking about the person who lives in crisis. The one who always has a problem, always needs your help, but somehow never makes any real effort to change. At first, you feel sympathy. Of course you do. You have a big heart. You want to help. You offer advice, lend an ear, even rearrange your schedule to be there for them. But months or years go by and nothing changes. In fact, you start noticing that when things go right for you, they pull the conversation back to their own misery. That's because they don't want support, they want attention. They drain your energy, time, and spirit until you start feeling guilty for simply enjoying your own life. But you are not obligated to carry anyone's emotional baggage, especially if they keep dragging it around instead of unpacking it. Your compassion is a gift, not a leash. Blank. Underscore, blank. Let's keep going, because this next type can be so subtle. You might not realize how deeply they've affected you. Have you ever opened up to someone, shared something meaningful, and watched as their eyes glazed over? Maybe they nodded politely, gave a vague, uh-huh, or looked away for a second too long. It's not that they were rude. Exactly. They were just absent. These are the inattentive listeners. They show up physically, but mentally, they're somewhere else entirely. Over time, being around someone who never really hears you chips away at your spirit. You begin to wonder if your stories even matter, if your voice is just background noise to them. But don't let that make you invisible. Because here's the truth. You deserve to be heard. Fully. With interest. With care. With presence. If someone consistently checks out when you speak, if they never ask follow-up questions, they are not truly valuing you. And respect starts with attention. Blank. Underscore, blank. Speaking of presence, let's talk about a person who, ironically, is always very present, but only in their own little universe. You know the one, the self-centered, empathy-lacking individual. They talk endlessly about themselves, their health, their latest purchase, their opinions, their drama, but when it's time to listen to you, they're suddenly busy, they forgot, or they offer some half-hearted comment before swinging the conversation back to themselves. These people don't just lack empathy, they lack curiosity about anyone but themselves. And that makes for a lopsided, draining connection. You give, they take, you support, they overlook, you ask how they're doing. Yet they never ask how you're holding up. Now here's where it gets tricky. Sometimes these folks are family or people you've known for decades. It's hard to just walk away. But you can set boundaries. You can decide. I'm not going to pour my heart out to someone who only sees their own reflection. Blank. Underscore, blank. Now let's shift to another type who feeds on your reactions like it's their favorite meal, the constant instigator. This one might hit a nerve because this person isn't openly cruel. They don't shout or slam doors. They're more subtle than that. A passive-aggressive comment here. A backhanded compliment there. They'll mock your choice of shoes. Then act surprised when you don't laugh. They poke and prod. Then act like you're the problem if you dare get upset. People who constantly try to provoke you do it for one reason: they crave control. They want to see if they can get under your skin. And at this age, You've dealt with too many real struggles in life to waste a single breath on petty games. How do you deal with someone like this? You stop giving them the reaction they're fishing for. You stay calm. You don't feed the fire. And when they say something annoying, you can simply smile and say, "That was unnecessary," or "interesting, anyway," and move on. Blank. Underscore, blank. Another type who doesn't try to rattle you, but ends up draining you all the same, is the manipulator. This person doesn't wear the mask of conflict, they wear the mask of care. At first, they seem so tuned in. They remember details. They flatter you. They ask questions. But over time, you start to notice a strange pattern. Your stories get twisted. Your kindness gets leveraged. You start making decisions you're unsure about because they made you feel guilty. Manipulators are master chess players. They know exactly where to push, when to pull, and how to frame things to make you doubt your instincts. But here's what you must remember. No one has the right to use your heart as a bargaining chip. If someone only reaches out when they need something, if their kindness comes with strings attached, if their concern always steers you in a direction that benefits them, step back. You're not selfish for setting limits. You're wise. Blank. Underscore, blank. Finally, there's one more type we need to talk about. And I won't sugarcoat it. They're the most difficult to deal with because they're a cocktail of all the worst traits we've already discussed. The toxic individual. You've probably felt their presence before you even fully understood what was happening. Being around them feels like walking into a room with too little oxygen. You can't quite breathe. You start second-guessing yourself. You feel tense, guarded, and emotionally drained. This person might not insult you outright, but they carry an undercurrent of resentment, control, or judgment that infects every interaction. They know exactly how to darken your brightest moment and make you feel like you're never quite enough. Let me be clear. If someone makes you feel consistently small, unsettled, or anxious, even without saying a single cruel word, they are not a safe person for your heart. It doesn't matter if they're a friend you've known for 30 years. It doesn't matter if they're family. If their presence costs you your peace, they are too expensive. It takes courage, but let me remind you, there is no age limit on reclaiming your power. You're old enough to finally stop tolerating what drains you. You've carried enough weight for others. Now it's time to carry yourself with grace, with strength, with peace, because the years ahead of you matter. Every moment, every conversation, every breath, and when you fill those moments with people who love you, respect you, and listen to you, you thrive. You deserve to be around people who make you feel like you belong. Not like you're just taking up space. And if that means letting go of a few toxic voices to hear your own voice again, then so be it. Because now, in this chapter of life, it's not about collecting more people. It's about protecting your peace. I hope this message gives you not just clarity, but courage. Courage to choose peace, to choose authenticity, to choose you.